place that shows love. You just wanna have a good life, good life. Come to New West Side. A great place to grow, a great place to know for you and your family. Near West Side, West Side, neighborhood of neighborhoods. We just love the people, so come to Near West Side. Please follow, like, and subscribe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Near West Side weekly webinar. This is February 16th, and we are happy to be here with you today to talk about some updates to our Live, Work, Play program. Typically, we will begin our weekly webinar with some updates from Near West Side partners, but we have a lot to discuss and a special guest from ACTS today. So I will recommend that everybody go visit the Near West Side calendar and see what we have coming up these next couple weeks. And we'll be back next week with some more updates. So diving in, this week we really wanted to spend some time sharing information about our Live, Work, Play program. This program is amazing. It's an incentive program that we launched back in 2017, and we have grown just last year. Oops, skipping ahead here. The Live, Work, Play program offers 3 incentives for individuals who are interested in living in the Near West Side or who already live here. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about each one of these incentives in a little bit more detail. Just a quick overview, there are incentives for new renters. So this is specifically targeted towards employees of Near West Side businesses who are looking to move to the area and be closer to their workplace. We also have down payment assistance for new home buyers. And with this down payment assistance, it's available to anybody who's purchasing in the Near West Side, but we really want to focus on those individuals who are currently renting in the Near West Side, who are ready to move into home ownership opportunities in the neighborhood, as well as employees who, again, want to be living a little bit closer to their workplace. And finally, our newest portion of this Live, Work, Play program is our matching home repair grants for homeowners. We launched this last year in March, and it was incredibly popular. We had over 28 home improvement projects that were part of that. So I'm going to move on to provide a little bit more detail about each one of these incentives. The Live, Work, Play rental incentive grants are available to employees of Near West Side businesses when they sign a 1-year lease with one of our Good Neighbor landlords. A Good Neighbor landlord is a landlord who has agreed to participate in our Good Neighbor designation. They have consistently provided quality housing, safe housing, and follow best practices for management and tenant recruitment. And therefore, they get this special designation, and you know that it's a good, safe place to rent from. This is a $500 rental incentive that is paid directly to the tenant at the time that they provide a signed lease. In order to be eligible, you have to be an employee at a Near West Side business. It could be any business that's located within the Near West Side boundary area. You do have to sign a 1-year lease with a Good Neighbor property owner, and you have to occupy that unit as your primary residence during the entire lease term. Our next portion of the Live, Work, Play program is our grants for home buyers. We offer down payment incentives of $3,000 to $5,000 to home buyers when they purchase a home in the Near West Side. And as part of this program, you will receive both the grant assistance as well as technical assistance from our partners at X Housing. In order to be eligible for this grant opportunity, you do have to purchase a home within our neighborhood's boundaries and occupy that as your primary residence. It doesn't need to be your number one home. And then you have to agree to participate in home buyer coaching with Axe Housing or a similar organization. We're really excited about this program, and this year we really intend to spend a lot of time working with renters who are currently living in the Near West Side who are ready to become homeowners either this year or maybe a few years down the line. It's never too early to start, and I'm excited to have Tony Bell from Axe Housing to talk about that process with us in just a few minutes. Finally, our newest addition to our Live, Work, Play program is the home repair grants. Last year, we began offering matching grants of up to $1,000 for home repairs and improvements. In order to be eligible for our home repair grant program, you must own a home in the Near West Side, and it must be your primary residence. So you do have to live there. But if you are a owner, if you live in an owner-occupied duplex or an owner-occupied multifamily building, that would qualify. All property owners of all incomes are eligible, which is a little bit different from a lot of the other grant programs, and I think makes this one really unique. And then all the repairs that you complete must address an exterior condition that can be viewed from the street, or address an emergency repair that has been ordered by the Department of Neighborhood Services. Some of the grant projects that we saw back in 2021 included garage improvements. So that was garage that could be seen from the sidewalk. We also had some new screen doors and restored front doors. There were several new porch repairs that were undertaken, as well as new concrete walks and steps. Several homes had new windows and updated landscaping. The picture that you see here of the greenhouse has some beautiful bushes and landscaping that was installed, as well as many homes had new siding or painting that was completed. And as you are familiar with Near West Side homes, they are quite large, and those painting costs can climb. So definitely having this grant pool can be helpful. And then we also had a few homes that received new gutters. This is not an exhaustive list of all the repairs that you can do with these kinds of grants, but it should give you an idea of, some of the things that we mean when we talk about exterior home repairs. So with that, that concludes our overview of the Near West Side Live, Work, Play program. If you are interested in applying, we do recommend that you visit our website at nearwestsidemke.org/live-work-play. And we will put that both in the chat here on Zoom and in the comments section on our Facebook page. And there you will find the links to the application materials, as well as contact information for me at the moment, who helps to lead this programming effort. Of course, if you have any questions, we're always here to answer those for you. We definitely want to help make the Near West Side your home, and we think that these incentives could really make that possible. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and transition to invite our guest, Tony Bell from Axe Housing, on screen, and we're going to talk a little bit about the partnership Near West Side has with Axe Housing and what Axe Housing does for new and existing homeowners. So Tony, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Lindsay. And I like your comments earlier about, you're never too young or too old to start with the home buying process. So again, we are certainly on board with that. So,
wonderful. Can you begin by telling us a little bit about what Axe does, who the organization are, and what you do with Axe?
Okay. Well, Axe Housing is located on 24th and Valide. We're a home buying counseling agency, and we've been around for about 25 years now. We started out at a church in the basement with about 3 employees. And now we've grown. We're still in this church, but it's a little bit up right on the corner of 24th and Valide. And we've got about maybe, I want to say 20 employees now. And over that time period, we've probably helped about close to 3,000 families become homeowners. Now, what we do at AXE is we try to help people with, the home buying process, demystify, take out some of the mystery, if you will, and help them along this journey. I liken, buying a home sometimes to running a marathon, okay? I've run a few marathons in my day, and the whole idea is in the marathon, you want to just finish. So in buying a home, you want to get to the finish line. It doesn't matter if it takes you 2 months or 2 years, as long as you complete that journey. And what we do is when an individual comes in, if they're interested, we're going to direct them to our website. We've got an AXE Housing website. With COVID and everything's being done online, right? So the orientation now is online. The person will go online and look at the orientation video. And it's going to give you an overview of AXE. It's going to give you an overview of the steps you're going to take once you meet with one of the home buyer counselors, myself or one of the other 4 or 5 counselors that we have on staff. Once you just look at that video, and if you decide that you want to continue on in the process with us, then you're going to be asked to pay for a credit report. Okay, we'll get that credit report ordered. You're going to fill out a couple of forms. And once all of that is in, then that's going to start the process for us to get you set up on the calendar to meet with a home buying counselor. And we're going to start out with that credit report and getting some other information from that prospective home buyer, okay? So that first appointment is gonna look something like, gathering information, gathering documents. Of course, we're going to ask the individual to get us a copy of some check stubs, some bank statements, things of that nature. We're gonna go over that credit report. And I'm gonna back up. Sometimes when we ask people about, providing us with the check stubs and the bank statements, I know sometimes folks are a little put off about, oh, wait a minute. And I just kind of go back to my grandmother or my aunt. It's like, wait a minute, you're asking for too much stuff. You're getting in my business. But yes, when you go through this process, we are going to ask for information, and we are going to, as some people say, get into your business. But again, it's all designed to help you reach that goal of home ownership, okay? Coming to AXE Housing, there's a couple of different ways to purchase a home, all right? You can purchase by getting yourself ready to go to a bank, and we're gonna help you with getting the file ready and everything to submit to a bank. You're gonna go to a bank to get a loan for maybe a move-in ready property, or there's that option of getting the AXE rehab loan to buy one of the city foreclosed properties, okay? And they're both ways of home ownership, but one's a little bit different than the other, okay? That bank loan where you're gonna get the move-in ready, it's just what it says, a move-in ready property. You can move in once you close on the deal, right? That's typically gonna be a 30-year mortgage, all right? The rehab loan, where you're going to buy a rehab property from the city of Milwaukee, and a lot of people think AXE owns those homes. No, it's not AXE that owns the home. You're buying that home from the city of Milwaukee. You're going to get the rehab loan from us, but AXE is the one that's helping you with that, and you're going to buy it from the city of Milwaukee to rehab it. That loan is typically going to be anywhere from 15 years or less. So the beauty of the rehab is that it's a 15-year mortgage, okay? On our loans, most of them are about the mortgage is going to come up about right around $650 a month. So we have people who are paying $1,000 a month for rent. When they go through this rehab loan, they're paying $650. So you can see the savings right there already off the top, right? So that's one process, but that isn't for everyone, because the rehab loan, or that rehab property, and some people may have seen some of them around the city, these homes are boarded up and they need repair, okay? and they need a lot of repairs. So you can imagine if you get a $50,000 loan, say the house is purchase price is $20,000, and that other $30,000 is left to cover the repairs that are needed to get you into that property, right? And some people have seen, these fixer-up shows that they have on television. The home buying homes where, the fixer-upper process is where, you have the skylights and the walls knocked out in this open concept and there's marble countertops.
2 weeks and they're living there. Yeah.
2 hours or sometimes an hour, because you see the start of the show, you see the house, and then an hour later you see the finished product. Well, that's not what this is, not with the rehab loans for X, because you're not going to get enough money in a loan to put in marble countertops and skylights and all that. What we're trying to help you do is get that home back to its original state so that you can move in. And part of that process of moving in is the home inspectors from the city. They have to come in and inspect everything. So some of the work, a homeowner can do that, but there's some work that's required that needs to be done by a licensed contractor. So your electrical, your plumbing, your HVAC, that kind of stuff has to be done by a licensed contractor. So that's a little bit more involved, but there's people that do it all the time and they love that process. So then there's people that just don't have the time. They're not mechanically inclined like me. I just couldn't do that. But, that process would not be for me, but I would be more apt to going to the move-in ready. But again, I just want you to know we've got 2 different steps.
May I ask, Tony, kind of rewinding a little bit, I'd like to deep dive a little bit into the coaching process and what that all entails. And my guess is, as part of the coaching and the counseling that you provide, there are probably some questions that you ask or some information that you gather that probably helps determine if you are the kind of person that is better suited for a move-in ready house or for a rehab property. What other kinds of things do you get in their business about?
Well, good question. I'm glad you brought that up. Trying to determine which is the best route. When we order that credit report, when we look at that savings, we're going to be asking you, what the credit is like, what your credit score is, what your savings is like, okay? And then, of course, what's the income like? How much are you making? And a bank requires that you have a minimum credit score. So if you were in a situation like I was years ago and my credit wasn't that great, and my option might be better to go to the rehab, because at Axe, we don't require a minimum credit score, but in getting in your business, we do ask that you take care of those collections. So we're going to review the credit report with you. And if there's some collections and or judgments that are there, we're going to ask you to take care of those. Now, we want to review it with you because there's some that you may not, some of those collections you may not have to address, especially if it's medical. So that's why we go through it with the individual. They'll have a copy, we'll have a copy, and we go through it page by page. Now, again, some of the other questions we're going to ask is things like, savings. What do you have in savings? For a conventional loan, they typically want 20% down, right? So the other route is maybe getting an FHA, and we'll get into those different topics once you come in, but there's different types of loans, and depending upon the credit score, the savings, and so on, one would be more suitable for you, if you will, okay? So we're going to be going into those types of things, and there's people that come to us that they have a credit score that's not where it needs to be to get a bank loan, and that's fine. We work with them to help move that credit score up by taking care of some of the collections, by understanding that during this process, we're going to go through what we call, a snapshot of their budget, look at how they're spending their money, okay? And we're going to try to help the person understand that there's those needs and wants as we're going through this budgeting process when we look at it. And there's some things we're going to ask, do you really need this or do you just want it? you see instances of people that may have, they've got Spectrum cable TV, but they also have Prime Video, they've got Netflix, they've got Hulu, they've got the Disney's Discovery Channel, all of that. So do you really need it or do you just want it? And if you're looking to save to make that down payment, maybe by eliminating some of those movie channels, it's going to help you save a little bit. Look at the phones, and maybe make some suggestions about maybe the cell phone usage they have. Some people, they want the latest iPhone. You really need the latest iPhone for you and all of your children. So, just kind of going through that and just again, having that conversation about, do I need it or do I want it?
Can I chime in with a question about this? Because, I think for many people, and I remember myself included, having these conversations about finances, about credit scores, about budgeting, can be really emotional and can be really hard to have. What are some of the techniques or how do you approach that as a coach to help people understand that, this isn't about judgment, it's about goal achieving?
I don't know. Let me think about that. I guess I'm the approach I've used is that I'm just trying to be upfront with them and just help them understand that, to your point, I'm not judging. I'm not putting any pressure on them to say, we need to get this fixed in 2 months or why did you do this? Why did you do that? I'm not being judgmental in any kind of way. And we're not trying to be judgmental or putting a person on the spot, if you will. We're just trying to help them understand and use techniques to help them understand that if they want to continue to move on, these are some of the things that we've worked with people on in the past, and they've been successful if they've followed some of these steps. Now, it's not 100% that every time we say something, it's going to work 100%, and boom, next thing you know, you're sitting at the bank getting a bank loan. It's a process. You go through it, and every individual is different. A question we always get is, how long does this take? Well, we can't tell you how long it takes because, again, every situation, every individual family is different. In my situation, my credit may be the issue, but the next person, it may be their savings, or it could be an individual who's in between jobs. With COVID, people did lose their jobs and stuff like that. So, again, it all depends on the individual situation.
I think that's great. I came from a family where we did not ever own a home. We were long-term renters. And when I started thinking about maybe homeownership, having the ability to talk to a coach who could kind of guide me through and lift the veil of illusion and mystery from some of these things, and was really, really helpful.
Oh, yeah. And just sometimes helping out with the terminology, I tell people all the time about, I can remember buying my first home, and I was sitting down with the realtor and we're going through the numbers and everything. And she says, "Oh, okay, Tony, this is going to be your mortgage." Well, it wasn't connecting with me. I'm listening for that term that I had heard my father and all of my uncles use. They always said the house note. This is the house note, the house note. So I'm listening for that cue for the house note. And when she said, this is the mortgage amount, just didn't connect with me. I'm like, okay, but what about the house note? So again, it's the lens that we've seen things through and what we're accustomed to. So, you have to listen. And part of our process is listening to our people. And, they may ask a question in the way they ask it. Hopefully we can pick up on a cue if there's something else that we think we need to delve down on, if you will.
I'm wondering if we can spend a little bit of time talking about some of the grants that are available to homeowners and how ACTS helps to identify what might work for new homeowners in the area. So for example, we have our down payment assistance grants, but I know there's a whole lot of other tools out there.
Yeah, the grants are designed, again, to help with, as you said, down payment assistance. And what we do is it's the eligibility for it is based on, of course, income. Okay. So there are some banks, however, that have some grants that it isn't income driven. So it doesn't matter how much you make, but typically we're looking for individuals, or we're going to be able to provide those grants to individuals who make no more than 80% of the county median income. So that's another reason why we're asking for those check stubs to verify how much the individual is making. So we can say, okay, a family of 5, the amount that they can't make any more of is X. And we can find out if they're eligible, if they meet the criteria. Then the first grant we're looking at is called the Hickory Grant, and that's a $2,000 grant that we get from ACTS. And then there's what we call the DPP grant, the Down Payment Plus grant. And that is a grant of $6,000 that an individual could get, up to $6,000 if they put in $2,000 into the deal of their own money. And you're definitely going to put in $2,000 because you have to pay for a home inspection. That's $300, $350. You got to buy homeowners insurance for that first year. That's about $700. So that's $1,000 already. You're going to have your earnest money, and that's typically $750, right? So, and then maybe a few dollars or some monies for the actual closing. Okay, so you will easily hit the $2,000 to get the 6. Okay, so that's the Down Payment Plus grant that both ACTS has, and then some banks. Not all banks have the grant dollars, but some do. Okay, and then there's a city grant that we're hoping is going to be up, and again, they're looking at the same thing, making sure that the income is no more than 80% of the county median income. And depending upon where that house is in the city of Milwaukee, some of grants will be $7,000, some grants will be $5,000. Now, there's some criteria for receiving all of these grants, and that criteria is for the first one I talked about, the Hickory, the $2,000 grant, you have to stay in the home for at least 3 years. If not, you have to pay a portion of it back. Okay, if you sell it after 2 years, you have to pay 1/3 of it back, right? Now, if you got the DPP grant of $6,000 or the city of Milwaukee grant, that could be anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. You have to stay in the home for at least 5 years, okay? Or you'd have to pay a portion of it back. So if you left after 4 years, you'd pay 1/5 of it back. So it doesn't wedge you to it that you have to stay there, but you know, the idea is, you know, stabilizing neighborhoods, home ownership. They're not looking at people that want to get the grant and then flip the house, if you will. Okay.
And can all of these grants be layered, or can many of them be layered so that you can take advantage of several of them at one time?
Good question. I'm working with the person. The short answer is yes. They can all be layered. I'm working with a person now that, you know, for sure, it looks like there's going to be 3 of them that she's going to be eligible for.
That's wonderful. I am so impressed by the work that ACTS Housing does. 3,000 families that have purchased homes through the programming that you provide is just astounding. What do you think as you look forward to 2022? Do you think these trends that we've seen in increases in home ownership will continue? And what should people who are listening today, who are maybe interested in buying a home, start thinking about doing?
Well, I hope these trends continue. I really do. As we all know, homeownership just stabilizes the community, okay? If an individual who's listening and they're thinking about, you know, buying a home, what they want to do is, I would say, one, they've made that first step because they're listening, right? Second, now let's go to our ACTS Housing website, look at our orientation video, and start the process to get started, okay? Also, you really need to think as you're going through this process now, you're going to have to deny self, if you will. That's something that I always throw out in my sessions when I talk with people. That trip, the vacation you were thinking about taking, maybe now we're going to put that on the back burner. Instead of going on the big vacation, we might just take a smaller trip to the Wisconsin Dells, or maybe not a trip at all. So bottom line, you got to start thinking about, you're going to have to save money. So what can I do to get myself ready saving money? If you've been looking at your credit already and you know you've got some collections out there, let's start looking at, hey, making sure that, I wouldn't say start paying on some things, but making sure your current credit cards that you have, make sure those are current. And there's that, and I'm going to throw this little nugget out there. There's the 30% rule. If you have a credit card, whatever that credit card limit is, so if it's say $500, then you should never have a balance of more than 30% of that credit limit. That's $150, right? If my math is right. So you should never have more than, a balance of more than that 30% of whatever your credit limit is. All right. So as far as making payments on things, if you're going to be going through the process either with us or one of the other home buying counseling agencies, hold off paying on some of that stuff as far as collections until you talk with us, because we know what the banks, or we're going to work with the banks, and they may give us some pointers on some things as far as, well, Tony, you don't have to pay this one off because of whatever, but you do have to take care of this. So let us work with you and guiding you through as those things that you have to address. But just know that the current credit cards that you have that are current, just start paying those off and, paying them down, if you will, and start denying self. That's the big thing, deny self.
The payoff in the end is worth it, even if it can be a little bit before you realize it. Well, Tony, thank you so much. I am looking forward to the work that Near West Side Partners and ACTS are going to be doing together in 2022. And I am sure that we will be hearing more possibly from you or others at ACTS in our upcoming webinars. Before we close today, is there anything that you would add or that you think would be really helpful for the people who are joining us today on Facebook?
No, I think that's it. Again, go to our website, look at that orientation video. Even if you don't want to maybe start right away, just go to the website and look at that orientation video. It offers a lot of information so that maybe you want to get started in June. That's fine, but why not look at the video and see if there's some things that you can pick up that may help you, again, be even more ready come June.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I did, in the comments section of this video, you will find the links to both ACTS Housing's website, as well as the information for the Live, Work, Play grant program that is administered by Near West Side Partners. And we hope that you check those out and are able to take advantage of the great services and incentives that we offer. Tony, thank you again so much for joining us.
One other thing, can I add?
Yes.
Whoever, for those folks that are watching, if you're coming on board with us, just pack a lot of patience, okay? Because we will ask for things a couple of times. And again, it's not something that happens overnight. So just be patient with us, okay? Or if there's another organization that you use, be patient with them as well.
I think that is great advice no matter what we're doing. We're living in a time where a little bit of extra patience will get us all a lot further. So, all right. Well, thank you again. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
All right. Thanks.